Sweet the whispers in your ear whenever ember wanders near.
Where some guy got swatted and ended up like in the hospital seriously injured. And so I wanted to check this out. Like I said, Charlie put up this video about it. I do not know too much about it other than it's a pretty significant tragedy that came from a swatting. So I want to take a look and see what this is all about. Don't tell me it's from Tucson. I do not know. I don't know where this originates from. I don't know what state or even what country this occurred in. But given how big given how like swatting is really on the rise, like as a reminder, Donut got swatted recently. About a week ago? Donut got swatted for something like the 7th time. While he was on stream, he got swatted, or was it 6th time? 6th time. Yeah, he got swatted on stream. This is becoming very prevalent. And this story, I think, is about what can happen with these swattings. And make no mistake, what we are about to see with this video that Charlie is talking about this is going to be an intended goal of some of these people. What we are, the injuries that the individual in this video Charlie's talking about suffered, make no mistake, is an intentional thing for some people. I don't know about this particular case, but there are cases where people will swat someone with the express goal and intention of them being significantly harmed and or killed. So that's why I want to look at this, because I think it is very, very important.
Go ahead and put your angry face on real quick. We're going to give that puppy a workout. We're going to put that to good use. Because what I want to yap about right now, I find to be an extremely infuriating story. Swatting. I'm confident everyone knows what that term is. You don't even have to be online overly often to be familiar with swatting. This is some brand new phenomenon, some like mystifying new piece of tech, like the blockchain or something, the non-fungible token of fake calls to the police department. Swatting has been a thing for the better part of 2 decades. So I would expect pretty much everyone in law enforcement would at least be familiar with the term and know how to handle it, being privy to it. But I guess that's not exactly the case here, because the story I'm about to talk about is one where a victim knew that he was about to be targeted for a swatting incident, informed the police that this bogus call was coming. It's a load of barnacles. Told the police, they were aware of it. 2 days later, that call comes through, the fake one, and still the police show up, immediately bust down the glass, just break the glass like it got hit by a torpedo, and then just mag dump on the guy, unload on him, paralyzing him.
What?
You're told from a young age,
believing in the system.
We want to be able to go to them for protection.
If you're in trouble, call the police. And that's what 24-year-old Axel Melendez did on April 8th.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Axel is a video gamer. He had been hacked.
Melendez's attorney, Dave Sethi, says Axel called 911 saying he could soon be a victim of swatting, blackmailed by a stranger overseas for money.
They're saying that they're going to call like the station and say that I have a bomb and stuff and come to my address and stuff like that.
The police tell him, don't worry about it.
No, it's okay, but they can't, like, nothing's going to happen.
He did legitimately everything right. When he became aware that this was a possibility.
The only thing that I could say that he could have done differently is here's part of the problem. And bear in mind, I am not like I need to strongly preface this. I am not faulting the victim here in any way, shape, or form. Okay? Do not misconstrue what I'm about to say as I'm like dogging on the victim or dunking on him or saying he fucked up or anything like that. I am not. Not in any way, shape, or form. But the mistake that I think that he made in this respect is he called 911 and only spoke to a dispatcher. Now, there could be more coming here. I don't think there is. The correct thing to do in this, in addition to calling 911, asking to have an officer come to the home. No, not that he should have probably called the non-emergency line. No. Actually speak to a police officer. Either if he's going to call 911, say, can you send an officer here so I can speak with them in person about this? Or get in his car, go to the police station, and ask to speak to an officer about this and actually do a face-to-face with the police officer and say, listen, this, take his computer with him to show him the evidence that he's being blackmailed and that this person is going to call a doxing report. Like, actually get a face-to-face with the police officer, because that way there's actually a call for service logged with notations in regards to his address and his name about this. Now, would it have stopped the swatting? Possibly not. I'm not trying to imply that this is a guaranteed, oh yeah, if he'd done this, he never would have been swatted. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all. What I'm saying is this could have been an additional step he could have done to preemptively protect himself from a swatting call, so that way he actually has a face-to-face with these officers. He's actually speaking to a person and informing them, and even providing the screenshots of this to basically bolster his case and give it more of a legitimacy than just talking to a dispatcher. Bearing in mind, a dispatcher is not a cop. A dispatcher is not a police officer. And so the question is, after he made this 911 call, how much notation was taken about this case that would have been disseminated to all of the officers after he had hung up the phone? And this dispatcher was like, no, nothing's going to happen. Did she make any notes? Were those notes available to the police officer? Were those notes available when his address pops off saying, hey, this guy had a case where he said that he could be swatted, that someone's going to be blackmailing him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, would what I have described prevent the swatting? No, certainly not. I'm not saying that. But if I was in his position, if that occurred to me, I would actually want to speak face-to-face with an officer to explain what's going on. Because if you do that, then when you inform a police officer face-to-face, there's a far better chance that this police officer will talk with his co-workers and explain what's happening. And so if a call does come down for this address, for this complaint of he's got a bomb, he's holding a woman hostage and he's threatening to kill her, et cetera, that may trigger something in the officer's mind of, okay, that's the address of the guy that talked to us and said, oh, this is happening. So maybe we shouldn't be like busting in there full bore. This could be take it cautiously, do the call as appropriate, but it could be a swatting and have that knowledge in their minds. That's all that I'm saying about this. Kirsten did that at her new home and showed them around and explained her background and what has happened. Yeah, which is an excellent idea.
He instantly called the local law enforcement to inform them, like, hey guys, look, this is something that might happen, told them the entirety of the situation and everything around it, and was assured that nothing's going to happen.
And by the way, again, I said what I would do. Not criticizing him for what he did. He did what he thought was correct at the time. And also, this police department could also be fucked. Okay, from the sound of it, this police department may also be fucked in and of themselves. They could be, just some, another American fork where they just don't fucking care about people's civil rights. And it's like they get a call and they just charge in and don't even evaluate his situation before just going in guns blazing. That absolutely could be a possibility, and we're going to find out.
And everything was going to be all right if they did try and put in that kind of, a horseradish. Axel was playing Rust when another player asked for access to his computer to check that he wasn't using any cheats. So this was, I guess, like a cheat check in Rust, which I'm not super familiar with the competitive side of Rust. I've only...
Oh, no. First mistake, playing Rust. Second mistake, giving someone access to the computer. Oh, that was a huge fucking mistake. That is an absolutely huge fucking mistake, letting someone access the computer. Yeah, never. Why would he do that for ransom? He didn't do it for ransom. He let the person onto his computer because the other player said, I want to make sure that you're not using cheat codes. And he foolishly said, okay. That was a huge fucking mistake.
Ever played on like the RP servers and like the goofy shit, but I know in other games this is something that the community sometimes does with like PC checks to ensure like legitimate play, no cheating. In this case, when he gave that access to this individual, then he noticed that several of his accounts, including his Gmail, had been logged into, so he started changing passwords, and then got a call from someone in Sweden threatening to file a false emergency report against him. That's the swatting threat. And immediately upon hearing that, he went to 911 to report it, to try and ensure that should this come through, they know that it's not actually an emergency. And when he told them, the dispatcher assured him nothing's going to happen. And then they got a suspicious call hours later, determined it was false, and told Melendez he should be all right, according to his notice of claim.
Okay, so he did talk to sheriffs. So if I'm reading this correctly, he did have a face-to-face with the sheriff's department. That makes this even fucking worse. That he was that he had the so he like, I think he should have done the face-to-face right off the jump, but he did get the face-to-face with the sheriffs later, and then the department royally fucked up. Okay.
The deputy also told him someone from the sheriff's department would contact him again if they got another SWAT call. From the sound of things, there's at least one person in that department with neurons that are activating, so they apparently did get a suspicious call hours later.
I live here. Keep in mind, the area he lives in is very prone to home invasions. Okay, good to know.
After he made contact with them, they determined it was, fish paste, and informed him of it, and that should be all right, and that if anything else comes through, they'll alert him. But I guess they just decided to wipe their ass with that, or they fired that one guy there who actually understood swatting. What do you mean you were actually thinking? Give me your badge and your gun, son. You're fucking out of here. We don't do that at this precinct.
And 2 days later...
Hey, is this Axel?
Yes.
Hi, okay, you said that your father shot your sister?
At 5:40 in the morning, a 911 call from someone posing as Axel Melendez reporting an active shooting. Pima County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the Melendez house, thinking a girl had been shot.
I really hope they catch this worm here. This is just so fucking degenerate. This is some heinous shit. So he again places this swatting call. This time he's pretending to be Axel and is impersonating.
Here's the problem. If this person actually is from Sweden, they won't catch him. It sounded like he spoofed a local phone number to call 911, and they're never going to find him. This scumbag that should be put in the box for life is very likely going to get away with it. Yeah, and yeah, like you hear over the phone. He doesn't even say anything. It's just like, Sweden sounds like India with a VPN. Entirely possible. Absolutely entirely possible. Like, who the fuck knows? It's... yeah.
Impersonating him and putting in this report about how the sister's been killed by the father, it's the dire situation, and now the authorities roll up, and they're like, saying...
In my opinion, reports from outside the local area should never be taken seriously. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna hazard a guess that this swatter spoofed a local phone number. And then when they called 911, it looked like it was a local phone number, and that's why they took it at, like, stupidly took it at face value.
It's the dire situation, and now the authorities roll up, and they're like saying that they're there outside, but they've also already got their guns drawn and immediately grab a shovel to break the glass. Like, there was never any time for Axel to even, like, begin to engage with them prior to them just blowing up the glass like a torpedo. Like, what's he supposed to do? Like, parry it and try and explain everything in, like, a split second? And I'm assuming he also never got the call from the department that they promised he'd be getting should another swatting call come through, which really surprises me because they already, I imagine, have documented, like a documented case about, like, this fraudulent call that they deemed to be false 2 days ago. Why would that not be alerted to them in their system when another one comes through as like a flag is like, oh, look at this. There's some very recent history. Only 48 hours ago, there was a false swatting attempt on this address. Maybe we should take this one with a grain of salt. Like, sure, go investigate it. Do your due diligence.
Doing these fake calls to SWAT someone should be illegal worldwide. Pretty sure they probably are. I'm pretty sure in the civilized world, in every nation in the civilized world, they are illegal. The problem is catching them because unfortunately, police departments are playing a never-ending game of catch-up when it comes to criminal activity. And in this regard, in regards to spoofed phone numbers and fraudulent swatting calls, they are way the fuck far behind in catching up to basically being able to counteract the criminals that do these spoof calls and do these swatting calls. Like, honestly, the one thing that they could have done. No, actually, no, that probably wouldn't have worked. That probably would not. No, I was thinking about something, but it actually probably wouldn't work in any way, shape, or form. So never mind.
But why do you have to go in guns blazing and blow up the door? Like, before ever even trying to make contact with Axel, like you said you would, about, like, calling him. Maybe they did try and call him and he didn't answer them. I guess that's possible, but even still, like, knock on the door or something, or try and communicate from outside the premises, which I have seen plenty of body cams of officers doing just that, even in very tense situations. Like, just hooting and hollering.
Yeah, like, the call is supposedly a shooting. How many times have we seen body cams where police officers go to a shooting and they'll do an announce, or they'll actually come to the door and they'll like pound on the door while in a tactical position and order the person to come out with their hands up before smashing open a window with a shovel and diving in and opening fire. Like, it sounds like these guys were just like anxious to just shoot someone on its face. Maybe that's not the case, but it sounds like they were just like really trigger happy.
From outside of a house, it's very unlikely that the residents are even going to hear you. Like, Axel, probably, there's a good chance he'd be playing a video game. Anyone else in the house, good chance they're maybe, like, watching TV, cooking or something. Like, very rarely are people in a home in just pure fucking silence in a meditative state or something that they'll hear you outside in the driveway identifying yourself. Like, that's not really giving them ample opportunity to, like, engage with this and explain what's going on or anything. So, like, he did nothing wrong. He had already called them to alert them about the swatting. They had already determined at least one of them to be false 2 days ago. Why the fuck weren't they affording him the courtesy of at least calling and checking is this one real? Or, like, at least giving him a chance to, like, say, like, hey, no, this is also false. It's crazy to me that they instantly just went to fucking turbo mode here.
Yeah.
Axel is justifiably relying on the promises that the police gave to him.
In this body camera video from that response, a deputy breaks a back window into Axel's room. You can hear Melendez in the video screaming for help. His mother also inside the home calling 911. The two not knowing.
They just completely opened fire before even going in. You could hear the shots. Did you guys hear that? Like that, I'm gonna be, bearing in mind, we're not seeing anything, but you can hear. You can hear. They did not even look inside the room and they emptied their magazines. Just listen.
On the promises that the police gave to him.
In this body camera video from that response, a deputy breaks a back window into Axel's room. You can hear Melendez in the video screaming for help.
Like, what the fuck? Nobody's shooting. I see no person in this video footage. I see no person here, and we're just hearing them mag dumping. They're just mag dumping into this. Like, what the fuck happened here? Who are these two, like, psychopathic killers that just shatter the window with a shovel and then just start mag dumping? It's not just a single officer. There were two officers here that did this. There were two officers. I'm guessing both of them just decided to mag dump. Yeah, like the one before, like, this officer broke it and then the other officer's got his gun out and then I don't even see a person in here. They just fucking mag dumped. And by the way, for everybody saying qualified immunity, guess what? Qualified immunity doesn't protect him here. There is no qualified immunity on this one. None.
Help. His mother also inside the home calling 911.
Oh
the
my
two
God.
not knowing who was breaking in.
And he gets his family's legal registered handgun. And he cowers behind a door hiding.
You can see Melendez hiding in the closet, not pointing the gun at the deputies.
Oh,
but that's
shit.
followed by multiple shots.
That's exactly how.
Oh, shit. That's where he was.
In the video, screaming for help.
So he was here. And they just mag dumped him through the door. Why? Like, what the fuck? They didn't even see him. They saw his leg and they mag dumped him. Holy fuck. That is insane. That's attempted murder. Both of these officers need to be charged with attempted murder and locked and put away for life. Lock them up. Put them in the box for the rest of their lives.
Handle something like this where all of a sudden your window just gets caved in, it just gets blasted out like you've been hit by a missile, like you're under siege here.
Yeah, no announcement, no knock, no nothing. Let's just shatter the window and come in guns blazing. Well, the mom is in the other room calling 911 that they're getting broken into. Like, this was an abject failure on every fucking level. Both of these cops need to be in the box for life. Both of them.
So naturally you're going to go and get something to defend yourself because you don't know who it is. He has no idea these are officers that are doing that because they just showed up, they've said like a little bit from outside the house and then just blew up this window to gain entry now. Again, he didn't know who it was that was doing that.
Let's see. In the end, Axel was the victim of nearly deadly incompetence performed by the very law enforcement agency that promised to protect him. This inexcusable tragedy has left Axel physically and emotionally wounded. His mother terrified to be at the home in a community she had before considered safe. Yeah, I would move the fuck out of that county because these were sheriffs. So it's like, okay, time to leave this fucking county because clearly the sheriff's department are executioners. And what are the chances? Now that he's filing a suit against the sheriff's department, and I'm guessing the two sheriffs might be charged as for attempted murder. What are the possibilities that this department is completely corrupt? And who's to say that the sheriff's department are not going to come and try and intimidate the mother? Like, yeah, that is way out there. I realize I'm going like way the fuck out there into conspiracy theory territory. But look at what we've seen with law enforcement as of late, with multiple police departments. Who's to say that this sheriff's department would not try and intimidate the mother to try and get them to drop the case or something? Like, she literally would have to move out of the fucking county. Like, this is horrific. The two deputies had encountered a male with a handgun before they shot him, according to April 10th news release. Mendez did grab a legally registered gun once he heard the glass shatter, but he ducked behind a partially closed door. He believed someone connected to the hackers was breaking in. Logical. They also acknowledged the detectives were investigating a swatting call connected to the shooting. Yeah.
He believed that someone connected to the hackers was breaking in, which makes a lot of sense because who would possibly expect the police to be rolling up like this, like the fucking Pinkertons here, especially after he had already contacted them 2 days prior and was assured nothing was going to happen, and even if these calls came in, everything should be all right, and a previous swatting attempt on him was already thwarted by the officers, so like...
How come ACAP never caught these kind of cops? Simple. The ACAP people are pussies. That's why. The ACAP people go after the good cops because they think they can bully them into letting them do illegal shit. They won't go after cops like these because these cops obviously won't hesitate to shoot a motherfucker. That's why the ACAB people don't go after cops like this. Because the people that are ACAB are a bunch of fucking pussies that all they care about is bullying the police into letting them do illegal shit. That's it, flat out. The ACAB people just want to be able to do illegal shit and not be held accountable for anything. That's all. And they're a bunch of fucking pussies. So cops like this that don't mind shooting a motherfucker, they'll never do that because they're afraid the cops won't mind shooting the motherfuckers.
He had every reason to believe that the officers wouldn't be doing some shit like this. So it makes sense that he would go get a gun to defend himself, but he never even, returned fire or shot or anything like that, never even pointed the gun at him. They saw his leg from that closet and instantly just started shooting him. He got shot 8 times in multiple locations, one of them being the spine, causing paralysis from the chest down.
I walked towards my son. He was on the floor. I walked towards him.
Jesus.
He said, I love you, Mom.
His mother, Carmen, watched as her son bled on the floor.
Axel did everything right. Less than 2 days later, they show up and betray every promise they made to him.
The bullet struck various parts of...
By the way, to that point, to that token where you're asking about the ACAB people, where are the anti-ICE people that are coming in saying, how could you do this to a poor immigrant? Because it sounds like his mom might be an immigrant from Mexico with her accent. We haven't been able to hear Axel speak yet, but it sounds like they may be immigrants as well. Where are all of them protesting about this? This was an immigrant, I'm presuming a legal immigrant from the South. You know, like I said, I'm presuming immigrant because she has a rather pronounced accent. Where are they protesting about this? Like, this is something that would be a legitimate protest about the cops. So where the fuck are they? Oh, is it because they're all full of shit and they just want to make an excuse for evil behavior?
Melendez's body, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down with a T4 spinal cord injury, unable to walk.
Now this statement here, in the end, Axel was the victim of nearly deadly incompetence performed by the very law enforcement agency that promised to protect him. It's an inexcusable tragedy that has left Axel physically and emotionally wounded and his mother terrified to be at a home in a community she had before considered safe. That might sound harsh, especially when obviously the main fault lies with the person that put in the swatting call in the first place. I do think these swatting calls should carry attempted murder charges, 1,000%. These are extremely serious things. But they are completely correct that the law enforcement agency, the way they handled this, is beyond incompetent. Pretty much across the board here. A very important piece of this is that the 911 call on April 10th that led to this was actually routed through the city's non-emergency 311 line from that person claiming to be Melendez, saying that the father had shot their sister and was hiding in another room. So, as he says here, no one calls 311 for a shooting.
So this was a failure on every level from dispatch on down. This is a, oh my God. Like, dispatch didn't tell the police, like, this was routed through non-emergency, which should have immediately, like, triggered something with the sheriffs going, why is there a shooting call coming in on non-emergency? Oh, yeah, this is like, this department's fucking done. This sheriff's department's fucking done.
Exactly right. How this even made it to a response from the law enforcement agency is kind of a surprise to me, because no one's calling the non-emergency line for an active shooting.
From UK. What's the 311 number thing?
The 311 is, they were just saying it's non-emergency. So say you need to speak to a police officer about something where there's not an immediate emergency. Say, you know, your car got stolen and you need to report your car being stolen, or, you know, you need to report a crime, or you need to speak to an officer about something where there's not an immediate danger. 311 would be a non-emergency line where it's like, I need to speak to a police officer, but it's not an emergency. There's not an imminent threat, things like that. So it's like it's a more relaxed call because there's not that immediate danger, immediate threat.
Situation where someone has been fucking murdered. And especially, like, let's say that did happen here, and then they go to 911. Well, you would still have on file the documented case from only 2 days ago of a failed swatting attempt on that same address. And you also have Axel himself alerting the authorities to it, which I imagine they made notes of, right? I imagine they did their due diligence to flag that in their system as like a potential thing to be aware of. So how
They
the
could
fuck
have, yeah.
would a 311 call, so how the fuck could this call have ever even passed the smell test to reach that point where they send the officers out guns blazing?
Because the dispatcher didn't do her job. That's how. Is a non-emergency call comes in, the dispatcher takes the call, she doesn't even think twice about it and just basically dispatches it as, as a shooting in progress, doesn't even bother to say, call came in from non-emergency, caller is claiming, etc., etc. That's why it's a failure of dispatch in addition to the failure of the officers.
Like, I understand in, like, a serious call, like, if you think it's credible, sending the officers out there, but, like, since you have this on file, maybe go there with the intent to, like, investigate first, investigate instead of, like, shoot first, ask questions later.
At the end of the day, the ultimate responsibility is by the criminal who swatted the victim. But law enforcement has to rise to the call and look at crime is changing.
John Yanarelli, a retired FBI special agent, says from the current information, there was a misstep. And as swatting calls become more and more frequent, responding law enforcement needs to take the minute to think before reacting.
That's what I was saying. That's precisely what I was saying, is law enforcement is way too slowly playing catch up with swatting, which has been around for fucking years. They have been dragging their fucking feet on addressing how to deal with swatting for decades at this point. Like, this is just laziness on the part of law enforcement, that they have dragged their feet on even addressing this in some way as a preventative measure to keep this from happening. Like what Charlie was saying. This guy put in a call, talked to a dispatcher, even talked to a sheriff saying, this guy's threatening to swat me. There absolutely could have been a flag on his address so that when the dispatcher pulls up the address in the system, there should be a bright red fucking flag that says, hey, this guy called and said that he might get swatted. And then the dispatcher could go, be advised, we have a flag on the account. Homeowner had made a report that he could get swatted 2 days ago. It's not fucking hard. It does not take much computer programming to implement that feature into a dispatch system. It is not fucking hard to do.
And to check to see if this is a known swatting target.
It's supposed to be in the CAD. Not only the CAD. You can't only rely upon the CAD. Okay, CAD is good. Having the flag pop up in the CAD is good, but you also need to have it pop up into the dispatcher system too. Yeah, I know it already exists in many places. Don't know if it exists in the Tucson system. That's why I'm saying this. I do not know if this system exists in the Tucson system or not. If it does exist in the Tucson system and they ignored the flag, fuck them, put them all in prison and take down the entire sheriff's department in a lawsuit. But I don't know if Tucson has this capability within their dispatch system. They saying that, have the flag pop up in the CAD is good. Problem is, if it's a hot call, a police officer's not going to be able to risk looking over the CAD while they're running code to the call. They can risk getting, they're focused on just getting to the call, and they're not going to look down at their computer and examine a flag that has popped up on the case. That's why I said it also needs to be in the dispatch system, and if it already is in the dispatch system, it is incumbent upon the dispatcher, if that flag pops, to verbalize to the officers responding to this case, be advised, we have a flag on the address. Homeowner called 2 days ago saying there was a risk of them being swatted. And that way the officers are told over the radio while en route that this could be a thing.
And to check to see if this is a known swatting target. A life lesson you learn from a young age.
We tell our kids, find the helpers in your community.
Melendez now regrets putting to use.
It's crazy that even needs to be a lesson that the agencies need to be taught to think first. Wow, that's a crazy concept. Yeah, maybe use a little bit of brain power, a bit of elbow grease instead of just going Neanderthal mode on shit.
And I'm wondering if this is becoming a mentality of these southwestern states. We're seeing it in multiple police departments in Utah, and now we're seeing it in Tucson. Is this a mentality in the American Southwest that when police officers get a call, they don't actually respond as police officers, they respond as paramilitary and just go to kill? Or if they receive a complaint, they don't actually investigate. They just take the complaint at its word and go full tilt against the person that has been marked as a target. That is a question that I now have regarding the American Southwest. Just how the hell are they training these officers, and what is the mentality of these officers that they're hiring, and what mentality are they fostering in this area? Utah is not the Southwest. It's right there on the edge. It's right there on that edge.
Why, yeah, that is something very important that I guess was lacking here. Fucking baffling to me, man. This was so easily avoided.
Yeah, you guys saying, yeah, this is Tucson, it's Arizona. Utah shares a border with Arizona. Okay, these are states that literally share a border with one another. I know you guys may not like it, but the fact is, Utah is in that area of Southwest. It's sharing a border with Arizona. You guys may not like it. I completely get that. I completely understand that. You don't like the idea that your state might be involved in this. I get it. I do. But it's still a fact that these are two neighboring states that we are now seeing multiple instances of cops behaving more like thugs than police officers. We are. It is unfortunate if you live in either of these two states, but how many more cases do we need before we recognize, yeah, this is a big fucking problem in this area of the United States? 'Cause it is.
Lacking here. Fucking baffling to me, man. This was so easily avoidable. Like, yes, ultimately, the biggest criminal here is the swatter, and I can only sit here fingers crossed hoping that they do catch that piece of shit and throw him in jail for life. But the response from the authorities here was something that they had complete control over in how they handle this, especially given what happened 2 days prior to this tragedy. They had all of the information right at their fingertips and just chose to ignore it and not even look at it before rolling up here. They didn't even think, and they didn't even go and look at like the previous reports of this address. If they did, I feel like this would have went entirely differently. I don't think they would have just broken that window, ready, fingers on the trigger. Like, it's so sad, man. It really is just so fucking sad. And it is incompetence from this department.
Yeah, so Axel and his mother are asking for a total of $320 million from Pima County Sheriff's Department and also Pima County. Now, right now, the county and the Sheriff's Department have 60 days to respond to this. We have reached out to the Sheriff's Department today and his office, and they said right now the sheriff does not comment on pending litigation.
Naturally, of course, that sheriff is way too busy investigating reports of a refrigerator running. I hope Axel and his family get every fucking penny here that they're asking.
I want those cops in fucking prison. Like, yeah, I want them to get the 320 million, absolutely, because they're gonna need that for his care for the rest of his life. They're gonna need that 320 million to pay for his medical care for the remainder of his life. Probably more, honestly. They're probably gonna need more than that. They don't comment on pending charges, but I would like to hear that there's at least an investigation. Like, they won't comment on pending charges. I get that, but I would at least like to know that there is an investigation. At least that, and I'm not hearing that so far.
I think they should get an unbelievable amount of monetary compensation. His life is forever ruined from this. He will have to rely on lifelong, around-the-clock care for the rest of his life. That is just in what is very preventable. Just so fucking sad, man.
Yeah.
It really is. Anyway, just wanted to yap about that. Wishing Axel and his family the best. Hoping that they catch the swatter here. And, yeah, that's really about it. So, yeah.
Holy shit. Like, that's just fucking insane. Like, it's shit like this that people are losing trust in a lot of the police. Like, especially if they don't receive any punishment. If the sheriffs and the dispatcher do not receive any punishment for this, nobody's going to trust the sheriff's department. They're not. They're going to be like, why should I call the sheriff's department? You're just going to come and shoot me instead? Like, it's... This is why when something like this happens, departments need to act decisively, and they need to be open. They need to be more. They need to be a bit more open with the public, and at least like say we are conducting a criminal investigation, or we are conducting an internal investigation into the conduct of these officers. We do not have any comment yet regarding any pending charges. We will keep you informed. If you at the very least tell the public that there's investigation, then that might perhaps mollify people a little bit. You know, say that the officers are on that are on unpaid. It is being investigated. Good. Good. I did not see that. Like, granted, I knew there's always anytime there's a shooting, there's always an investigation. That is a given. That anytime a shooting occurs with police officers, there's always an investigation. It's just this. Granted, this happened in what, April? I think one of you guys said this happened in April. It's been 3 months. An investigation of this matter shouldn't take 3 months. If this is the incident that happened in April. The results of this need to be the family gets every dime that they're asking for, and every officer involved goes in the box for life. That's what needs to, honestly, anything less than that will be unacceptable, in my opinion. Anything less is unacceptable.